20 years and have taken people into haunted places to uncover macabre tales and dark secrets. On my podcast, Haunted Canada, I share bone-chilling stories of the unexplained. Search for Haunted Canada on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, or wherever you're listening right now. Then join me if you dare. 980 CKNW traffic. In Coquitlam, police have someone pulled over on Highway 1 eastbound just after Brunette. They're off to the left shoulder, and further up the highway in Langley, you'll find a crash once you get to 200th Street southbound at 72nd Avenue. Black Friday is on now at Mark's until December 4th. Save up to 70% in store and online at Mark's. In the CKNW welcome to the Holiday Splash at Vancouver Aquarium, where ocean wonders and holiday magic. Travel to the North Pole with Rudolph and 4D and meet Scuba Frogs, diving daily, share magical family moments at Holiday Splash. On now. Look now at VancouverAquarium.com. Welcome back to Home Tip, sponsored by Highmark Plumbing and Heating. Tip number 356. Get ahead of the cold and make sure your time with family and friends is cozy and comfortable this holiday season. Is your gas furnace ready to be replaced? Consider upgrading to a dual fuel heating system and get $10,000 back in rebates. With an electric heat pump and gas furnace combo, you can't go wrong. Here's why. 1. Save on utility bills. 2. Experience high efficiency performance. 3. Enjoy both heating in winter and cooling in summer. 4. Get an additional $150 rebate with unit power smart service by upgrading to a dual fuel system or for a year-round contract at Highmark. This home tip is brought to you by Highmark Plumbing and Heating. Sponsor of this bathroom renovation to industrial heating. Your expert in December 4th is National Cookie Day, and Subway has a sweet surprise for one day only. Buy any mouth-watering footlong sub and get a free footlong chocolate chip cookie. This offer is only on December 4th and available while quantities last. Available in-store or online. Head to Subway, grab your footlong sub, and celebrate National Cookie Day with a free cookie. This offer is redeemable at participating Canadian restaurants. Extras and taxes additional. One use per order. Cannot combine with other offers. Valid only on December 4th, 2024.
By calling us at Campbell & Pound Real Estate Appraisers. With our extensive database and analytical expertise, we'll not only give you an accurate appraisal of your property, we'll prove it. And with over 80 years experience in the Lower Mainland and Fraser Valley, this kind of market intelligence you can't fake. Visit us today at campbell-pound.com. Quick, accurate, confidential.
Winter can be hard for families in need. At Family Services of Greater Vancouver, they're not just helping families to get by, they're helping them thrive through free financial coaching, counseling, and more. This holiday season, Family Services needs the community to keep their programs going strong. Your support today means a fresh start for one more family right here in Vancouver. You can make a difference. Give the gift of brighter tomorrows at fsdv.ca/caring neighbors. Looking for value? Get more for your PC Optimum points during the Holiday Super Redemption event at Shoppers Drug Mart. From now until December 4th, redeem 250,000 points to get up to $400 off. That's an extra $150 in value. Conditions apply. Plus, we've dropped prices on hundreds of everyday essentials. So visit Shoppers Drug Mart today and enjoy 2 great ways to save for the holidays. Exclusions apply. Details in store and online. Need more speed? Right now, get Black Friday savings on Western Canada's undisputed fastest internet. TELUS PureFiber's 3 gig. From $95 a month, you'll save more than $1,300 over 2 years. Plus, deals on phones, data, security, and more. Hurry to TELUS.com.
I'm Emma Albert. According to a BC report, police following through on enforcement orders could help save women's lives. Global's Terry McIsaac has more.
In December of 2022, 39-year-old Stephanie Forster had a restraining order against her ex-husband, but was fatally shot outside her Coquitlam home. Angela Marie McDougall with Battered Women's Support Services says those in abusive relationships have a little confidence police will follow through on enforcement orders.
In the case of Stephanie, she reported all of the breaches, which there were numerous, and unfortunately the Coquitlam RCMP failed to follow up on those breaches. We think if they've been following through on the law, she would potentially be alive today.
Among other things, the report recommends mandatory coroner's inquests into any femicide, extending protection orders to 2 years, and universal enforcement of protection orders. Terry McIsaac, Global News.
Canada Post says it's waiting for a response from the union representing 55,000 striking workers after it offered a new framework for negotiations over the weekend. The union says its negotiators are reviewing the proposal. Canada Post on Sunday said it hoped the document would reignite talks. The Crown Corporation says its proposals include more flexibility to Canada Post's delivery model and shows movement on other key issues but didn't elaborate. Meanwhile, the U.S. Postal Service has temporarily stopped accepting mail headed to Canada because of the strike. Michelle Zedekian, the Canadian Press. Canadians are facing a fresh wave of scams as fraudsters seize on the Canada Post strike to try to trick victims out of their cash. Equifax Canada Information Security Head Octavia Howell says the last few weeks have seen a big rise in the number of scam attempts, even beyond the usual spike that occurs around the holidays.
Actually, we're seeing exponential growth in the amount of scams that's actually happening. They're coming via text messaging, they're coming via email, they are coming via phone calls.
Mail carriers walked off the job November 15th, bringing deliveries of letters and packages to a halt at the height of the holiday shopping season. The Better Business Bureau is warning fans to be vigilant as ticket scams could emerge targeting Taylor Swift concert goers. The group says a report submitted to its spam tracker database suggests that unidentified scammers stole $2,000 by hacking into someone's social media account and then tricking people into buying fake tickets. The Bureau says people should only buy tickets from trusted or reputable vendors since major events such as Swift's concerts can be a hotspot for scammers. Swift is slated to wrap up her Eras tour in Vancouver with 3 concerts at BC Place this coming weekend. Downtown Vancouver will see an influx of people for this weekend as Taylor Swift closes out her Eras tour with 3 nights of concerts. As Global Daily New Bells reports, TransLink is wrapping up its operations to help everyone get to and from the show efficiently and safely.
If you're planning on taking SkyTrain downtown, it'll be running later than normal, with the last Canada and Expo Line trains leaving at 1:15 and 1:16 a.m. TransLink spokesperson Tina Lovegreen says it'll be similar for the C-Bus.
For concert goers coming and going to the North Shore, C-Bus will offer 10-minute sailing starting at 3 p.m. until the end of service hours, which is also being extended to 1:22 a.m.
Lovegreen says they've also set up Swift shuttles.
One of the buses is to get people from the stadium to Waterfront Station. We obviously expect a lot of people will be walking here to stadium, but to give them another option, especially if they're hoping to catch the Rogers West Coast Express train or if they're connecting to the T-Bus, they have another option there as well.
As for the West Coast Express, a special Saturday train will leave Mission at 4 p.m. and return at midnight. Extra transit volunteers, SkyTrain attendants, and transit police will also be on hand to help with the large crowds that are expected. Aaron Newbell, Global News.
Global News time is 4:04, and now for the latest CKNW traffic. New crash to watch for in Vancouver on Granville, southbound just after 70th Avenue. It's already busy in that area because of ongoing road work and water main work at Oak and 70th, where you'll find delays southbound and northbound on the Oak Street Bridge. Enjoy fall to the fullest with symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive. Visit your local Subaru dealer to book a test drive today. In the CKNW Traffic Center, I'm Barbara Dean. Good afternoon, I'm Christy Gordon with your global sky tracker weather forecast. It's a beautiful day out there today, especially if you're over higher elevations. If you're lower down and near the water, that's where we're still seeing some lingering low-level cloud or fog. This similar pattern is overnight. We'll see patchy frost through the morning hours tomorrow as we drop down to 1 degree overnight. So another frosty cold start to the day with fog and low-level cloud expected to continue through a good part of the day, but then late day we'll start to see that break up, and we're expecting sunny skies with a high of 7 degrees for your Tuesday. On Wednesday, similar pattern. We'll likely see patchy morning fog, but a bit more sunshine expected on Wednesday as daytime highs reach 7 or 8 degrees. Outside CKNW in downtown Vancouver, it's 6 degrees and cloudy. On to the business numbers. The Dow ended down 129 today. The TSX closed out down 58. The Canadian dollar is trading higher at 71.20 cents U.S. Global News Time is 4:05. I'm Emma Albert. It's what's happening right now. This is the Jazz Joe Hall Show on 980 CKNW.
Welcome back to the show. Well, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre has demanded the federal government present a plan before Parliament to beef up border security as U.S. President Donald Trump threatens to impose stiff tariffs on Canada. The plan, he said, should include measures to increase patrols and technology to crack down on illegal drug trafficking. He's also said that Canada should also cap the number of asylum seekers as it faces a significant influx in refugee claims. Let's take a look.
I think it is time for a cap, and it's time to get rid of all of the abuse. We need to shut off the flow of false refugee claims who are in no danger in their country of origin, but who are sneaking in either through our porous border, through our weak visa system, and then when they land here, making a false claim. I have no time for people who lie, come into our country, and that is the problem we have to cut off.
That was Peter Poilievre speaking late yesterday on this issue. Joining me now to talk about our refugee system and, of course, toughening our borders is Richard Curlin, an immigration lawyer and policy analyst. Richard, thank you once again for your time.
A pleasure.
Your thoughts, first of all, on Mr. Poilievre's comments there.
Well, a better briefing would bring to the results. We already have a cap on the number of refugees coming from overseas. And I think he's referring to the inland refugee claims. And there's quite a simple way, because been there, seen it, done it, of cutting down that flow. Well, this happened when Canada suddenly began experiencing a flood of refugee claims from Western Europe, from people who could legally live and work in adjacent countries. And so the trick was, to stop it, give them business class treatment. Instead of taking a 3-year period before they see the inside of an oral hearing, make it fast. Put them at the front of the queue, and you take away the incentive to make that claim, knowing that you're going to be here for years with work permits, medical services, and education for the kids. So by simply resourcing the Immigration Refugee Board properly and just introduce a business class front end selection, you'll pull the incentive. So we can fix this, but the biggest problem is going to come January 20th with President Trump.
So let's touch on that just for a second. Right now we have about 250,000 refugee claims as of the end of September of 2024 this year. We've approved about 33,000 claims by the end of September. So from January to September, about 33,000. In 2023, there was about 37,000 refugee claims that we accepted. 2022, about 28,000. So hovering between 28 and 33,000. So you're saying if we front end load this, in other words, more resources to get ahead of these refugee claims to the point where they're almost ahead of the line, you can get rid of a lot of these issues right away.
Yes, and you don't even need the more resources part. You just schedule them up front. No additional resources, no new employees, no new laws or regulations. It's administrative, and it can be done.
So why do we have this backlog now then, if it's that simple?
Yeah, well, I'm not concerned about abuse in the existing backlog. It's the chicken and a python effect of the potential future backlog when two groups, one, the extra, and I mean extra, 2 million people with temporary status as a result of a secret decision by prime ministerial officials who wanted to quickly increase Canada's population side without a political hit, hence study permits and work permits exploded. These people expect to remain here permanently. And if they have legitimate issues at home in 2 or 3 years when their status runs out, you can bet they're going to try every move that's acceptable and try to remain in Canada. And that inventory of acceptable moves will include refugee claims. So it's not the current inventory, it's the future from those extra 2 million people who may not quickly be going home. The other group is the 11 million Trump deportees. And I think that should have been topic of dinner conversation between our Prime Minister and the incoming American President. That is so big that if these people were to breach the Canadian border and make a refugee claim, they're going to see a refugee claim in about 4 years. President Trump will have come and gone before they see the inside of a Canadian refugee hearing, which is rather shocking. And so...
Or promo cards for a limited time in restaurants at Cora Breakfast and Lunch. You never complain, always ready for the adventure. Honestly, if you could do laundry, you'd be perfect.
Are you still talking to your new Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV?
Well, at least he doesn't leave socks everywhere.
Don't wait to fall in love with driving again with a Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV. Finance for as low as 1.99%. Plus, get a $1,000 winter tire credit with purchase. Offer ends soon, so own the moment today. Visit your local Mitsubishi dealer or MitsubishiMotors.ca for details. Some conditions apply.
Hey, it's me. Do the thing.
Hey, it's me. You from the future. Big thanks for getting the HPV vaccine. With that one move, you help protect us against several cancers later in life. So, thank you. Or thank us. I'll just text you myself.
The HPV vaccine is safe, effective, and free for eligible youth. Learn more at healthlinkbc.ca/HPV. A message from the government of BC.
Hi, it's Ragnar from Ragnar Jewelers, celebrating 55 years of jewelry design in Vancouver. My new Moonglow earrings are crafted in my workshop with lustrous pearls in solid 14-karat yellow gold. For just under $1,200, watch her light up as she puts on the Moonglow earrings. Visit us today at the Ragnar Jewelers Design Studio at 64th and Granville. Call for an appointment and park for free in the back.
I never imagined I'd be here on the streets.
Support the Surrey Urban Mission and bring warmth and hope this holiday season to those without a home.
Once there was nothing I couldn't do. Now, what can I do?
Surrey Urban Mission provides essentials like shelter, food, and warm clothing to those who face hardships every day.
I don't need pity, just a little help.
Help create a season of compassion by donating to Surrey Urban Mission today at someplace.ca. You can change a life.
VGH Millionaire Lottery. Luck to travel. Deadline for Christmas bonus with World Travel, car, or cash is this Friday. Get tickets at London Drugs. 19 plus to play. Know your limit. Play within it.
You're listening to the Jazz Joe Hall Show on 980 CKNW.
Hey, welcome back to the show. We're talking about immigration and border security. Peter Pauly said we'd like to see a cap on the number of asylum seekers. As our previous guest, Richard Curlin, said, huge challenges ahead, not only just from the 11 million U.S. illegal immigrants, even if a fraction of those decide to come to Canada, we get huge challenges. Never mind the 2 million immigrants that we have here in Canada that have been told they must head back home. How many of them are going to be heading back home as well? Would love to hear from you in regards to how we should be fixing our immigration and border challenges. As I've said, this is a country that's always accepted immigrants. You're listening to somebody who's an immigrant. But for some reason, in the last few years, well, we know why, this country has turned its back on immigrants. And it's, one would argue rightfully so. They've been driving up the housing costs.
working, and they're trying to apply for PR and other things to decline, and they're here in the country, but they're not going back home to where they're from, and it's not like they're doing refugee or anything else, but our government is not enforcing them to go home once they've had their PR rejected.
And we have huge loopholes in our immigration system because of that. And remember, there's so many different avenues to come to this country. Never mind just applying as an immigrant. They need business class. Then you have students. The immigration system has been on steroids over the last few years to deal with some of the labor challenges we have. But what you're currently raises a very good point. Then guess what? Pay folks more in Canada so they can do those jobs, or at the very least, let's educate our workers to skill them up a little bit in regards to the skills that are required. Let's get there. Like I said, this is a country that welcomes immigrants. For us to get to a point where we turn Canadian cost immigration really speaks to how badly Mr. Trudeau and his government have handled this file. Let's go to Josh in Vancouver. Hi, Josh.
Hey, Josh. How you doing?
I'm doing well. What are your thoughts on this one?
Well, first of all, I want to say I love your show. You bring an unbiased perspective on a lot of the conversations. And so, my thoughts are kind of twofold. I think first and foremost is, how can we take care of our neighbor when we can't even provide for our own household? And then secondly is, with the immigration kind of spurring and growing, it seems like the hot spots are kind of the East Coast and West Coast in terms of Vancouver and Toronto, and it's like, why can't we, if we're going to bring all these people, why can't we spread them out across the country and, build up these other cities, these smaller cities, and allow the people to come in and help build the economy there, then, forcing them all to come into these major hubs.
Yeah, I think you raise an issue, and I think people go to where the work is, right? When my parents came to this country, Dad went to the interior, got a job as a lumber grader in a sawmill, and was able to provide a middle-class, working-class home for all of us. It was a great childhood that I had. But increasingly, as we urbanize and with technology, a lot of the jobs that, through my dad's job, that can be done through technology, so that job may not exist today. And increasingly, a lot of those jobs are more urban. And that's where society is heading. So, I want to arbitrarily say, I would love to say people move to North Battleford, Saskatchewan. Maybe they should go there. I'd be surprised how many immigrants do move to Saskatchewan and Manitoba, where the population is quite stagnant. Without immigration, they wouldn't have much in regards to the need for people coming into work. So I think immigrants are doing that. The challenge is they still go to where they see more work, number one, and number two, if they come from India and China, sizable Indian and Chinese and Filipino population, they're going to look at potential work in Vancouver and larger communities that they're accustomed to, certainly in their earlier ages, early days in a country. So that's part of it as well. But I think the core issue, yes, we would love to have them move to some of the other smaller communities out there, but there has to be work there as well. And I'd be surprised how often you go to a Williams Lake or a Terrace, how many immigrants you do see there, but there's not enough work, in fact, as many as we probably want to. Let's go to Cindy in Langley. Hi, Cindy.
Hi, Jazz. Thanks very much. The comment I had actually is regarding something I heard on one of the other NW shows on the weekend. And I agree with both of your callers by saying things. One, I think inventory needs to be taken. Some people need help to get back home rather than house them in this and that for many years and waiting for the process. Buy them a ticket home. If some will take that. The one thing that really bothered me was the caller said he came as an immigrant, him and his wife, through all the legal channels, got a job working here. He encountered someone else from his country, spoke the same language, and said, "Oh, how are you here?" etc., etc. We said, "Oh, we're just here. We're just refugees." Well, he goes, "Well, you can do this legally." And they said, "No, we don't want to do that. Like, we're being fed and clothed and housed, and we don't have to work. We don't have to do it." And when 3-4 years comes by, and then we can travel, we can do anything we want.
Yeah.
So we are paying for this. Right?
Cindy, I appreciate your call. We've just run out of time. Thank you so much. And quite frankly, we hear too many of those types of stories. You're absolutely right. That's not what has built Canada, full stop. You're listening to the Jazz Joe Hall Show. Coming up next, we meet a Canadian woman who has photographed Taylor Swift across 3 different tours, and she brings her show to Vancouver next.
For hundreds of Vancouver youth, being homeless is not a choice. At Family Services of Greater Vancouver, they're not just helping youth to get by, they're helping them thrive with housing, employment supports, and more. This holiday season, Family Services needs the community to keep their programs going strong. Your support today means a safe night for one more youth when they need it most. You can make a difference. Give the gift of brighter tomorrows at fsgv.ca/caring neighbors.
If your home was built between 1985 and 1998, it's susceptible to extensive water damage. This is because your home probably has poly B piping for your water supply lines. These pipes have far outlived their life expectancy, so contact the experienced team at Poly B Plumbing Guys for your free assessment and remediation proposal. Plus, their in-house repair department will have you saying, "Wow, did they even make any holes in my drywall?" Visit the polybplumbingguys.ca. Thanks to you, Sea Lovers Fish and Chips is turning 40 this year. Thanks for coming back time and time again. From the perfectly battered West Coast fish and locally grown fresh-cut Kennebec potatoes, and with their all-you-can-eat fish and chip plus bottomless pop for just $19.99 plus tax, they are truly the best fish and chips in town. Here to satisfy the sea lover in you. Happy 40th, Sea Lovers. Find a location near you at sea-lovers.com.
Hi, I'm John McComb, and we're here with Lori Pinkowski, a senior portfolio manager at CG Wealth Management. Lori, with the year end approaching, tax planning is on the minds of many people.
That's right, John, and the key to effective tax planning is to be proactive.
On today's financial tip, we're covering some top tips for year-end tax planning. So, Lori, what steps can taxpayers take now to prepare?
Well, for one, you should recognize capital gains and losses. So if you have investments with unrealized capital losses, consider tax loss selling before the end of the year to offset any gains and reduce the tax bill. But make sure to watch out for the superficial loss rule. If you repurchase the same investment within 30 days, you can't claim that loss.
That's a valuable tip. What other strategies should investors keep in mind?
Rebalancing your portfolio. Year-end is a good time to review your asset allocation, making sure you are invested in what's working and avoiding what's not.
Let's talk about annual gifting, because this time of year people are thinking about things like charitable donations.
Well, exactly. Donating to charities can also reduce tax owing, so it's a win-win situation.
Okay, any tips for retirement planning during year-end tax prep?
Well, you can consider drawing down your RRSP or RIF account. So if your income in 2024 is low, consider withdrawing funds from your registered account. Withdrawing funds now can reduce the tax burden for estate planning purposes later on.
It's always wise to consult a financial advisor or tax professional to ensure these strategies align with your situation and goals. For more advice, reach out to Lori and her team at pinkowski.ca or call 604-695-5674. That's 604-695-LORI.
Global News at 4:30. I'm Emma Albert. An annual holiday tradition by BC Transplant to show appreciation for healthcare workers is taking an extra meaning this year. As Aaron MacArthur reports, it comes as BC marks a remarkable milestone.
BC Transplant reporting a major milestone. Since BC's first organ transplant in 1968, the province has now completed 11,000. The milestone celebrated at the annual Operation Popcorn campaign. 80 volunteer transplant recipients, living donors, and families of deceased donors dropping off popcorn for healthcare workers across the province. According to Ed Lund, BC Transplant's executive director, it can take up to 100 staff members to perform just one life-saving surgery.
I think it's really meaningful and impactful for the clinical teams and the members to meet some of the volunteers just to see the impact that they make on someone's lives.
BC Transplant also encouraging people to talk with their families about their organ donation wishes and to register as an organ donor. Eric, the Global News.
Fort Moody police say they've arrested 2 men in a string of vehicle break-ins in the city. Police say officers received a report over the weekend of 2 suspects attempting to break into parked cars in the Heritage Mountain neighborhood. Responding officers were then able to find and arrest both suspects, although police say the case does not appear linked to a break-and-enter into a home that happened in the same area just suspects are being held in custody while waiting for their next court appearance later this week. For those looking to travel during the holidays, experts say now is the time to get travel vaccines. Travelers should get vaccinated 4 to 6 weeks prior to their vacation to ensure vaccines are effective. Depending on your destination, physicians at travel clinics will recommend different vaccines. Vancouver Coastal Health Travel Clinic Dr. Sunny Bairstow says a common misconception is that vaccines are not needed for all destinations.
Anyone leaving Canada should make sure their tetanus diphtheria is up to date. Many Western countries, including here in Vancouver, have pertussis or whooping cough outbreaks. So we recommend that everyone get the combination tetanus, diphtheria, pertussis vaccine. This has to be redone every 10 years.
Boriston adds many diseases are preventable by simply getting vaccinated early before your travel.
Global news for sea lovers, fish and chips. Truly the best fish and chips in town. Find a Sea Lovers near you at sea-lovers.com.
Global news time is 4:33 now for the latest CKNW traffic.
In Surrey, we've got a crash at 152nd Street, just after 94th Avenue. We also have a crash at 103A and Grace that's impacting traffic in both directions. And in Vancouver, still seeing a slowdown around Granville at 70th because of an earlier accident. Don't miss the London Drugs Weekly Flyer during the Canada Post disruption. The weekly flyer can still be found in store or online at londondrugs.com/flyer. In the CKNW Traffic Center, I'm Barbara Bean.
Help create a season of compassion by donating to Surrey Urban Mission today at sumsplace.ca. You can change a life. sumsplace.ca.
Hi, I'm Christy Gordon with your Global Sky Tracker weather forecast. Lots of sunshine out there today, but we're still seeing lingering fog and low-level cloud over lower elevations and near the water. We're expecting a similar pattern again tomorrow, so what we'll see is temperatures drop overnight. We'll cool off to about 1 degree, and it will be a cold, frosty start to the day, so give yourself extra time to scrape that frost off the windshield. Otherwise, we are going to remain sort of cloudy and cool through the early part of the day, again, especially over low elevations and near the water. But then in the afternoon, things will brighten up as the fog starts to dissipate, and we'll see a high of 7 degrees. Outside CKNW in downtown Vancouver, it's 6 degrees and cloudy. On to the business markets. The Dow ended down 129 today. The TSX closed out down 58. The Canadian dollar is trading higher, 71.21 cents US. Global news time is 4:35. I'm Emma Albert. The Jazz Joe Hall Show continues on 980 CKNW.
Welcome back to the show. The Taylor Swift Eras Tour comes to Vancouver for 3 shows at BC Place from December 6th to 8th. They are the final shows of her 2-year, 149-performance tour that touched down on 5 continents. It is the highest-grossing music tour of all time and is expected to surpass $2 billion in revenue by the end of this year. Our next guest will be at the final show on Sunday. Jasmeet Sidhu is a director and photographer. Jasmeet has photographed Taylor Swift at concerts during 3 separate tours: 1989 tour, the Reputation Stadium tour, and Eras. She will be displaying her work this Saturday, December 7th at the Cool Gallery in Vancouver from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Jasmeet Sidhu, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
A fascinating story here. I think let's just start from the beginning here. How does one end up photographing Taylor Swift? How did it all start?
Yeah, I mean, believe it or not, it started almost 14 years ago. Or let me do the math. 2011, 2012. How many years ago that was? Yeah, I was a newly graduate from Columbia University's Graduate School of Journalism. Thought I was going to be a journalist and decided to make a pivot into entertainment media. And decided for myself I wanted to work in music videos, so I reached out to a music video director, cold letter, just asking to meet with him for coffee. And that coffee invitation turned into his invitation to shadow him on his next music video set. Very coincidentally, because I was prior a Taylor Swift fan, his next music video was for Taylor Swift for her I Knew You Were Trouble music video. So for a Swiftie like myself and for someone who wanted to work in music videos, this was obviously a dream come true. Exposed myself to the world of entertainment media and the Taylor Swift world. And then in the next couple of years, as I gained more of a footing in the entertainment world and taught myself photography and started doing behind-the-scenes photography, I prepped and readied myself to pitch for a photography media pass through someone that I knew on our team, and that started with the 1989 tour in 2015, and then I did it again for the Reputation tour in 2018, and then I photographed the Eras tour, the tour that's going to be coming to Vancouver this weekend. I did that in California last year.
So let me just get to the first part of your story there. So the first music video shoot for you was Taylor Swift. What was day one like for you showing up there and Taylor Swift showing up there? I'm just curious what you both were going
Yeah, I mean, if you could imagine, it was my first so-called movie set ever. It was basically my first 7 days in Los Angeles, and suddenly I'm beside a music video director that I admire, and Taylor Swift is literally 5 feet away from me filming a scene from the music video. It all sounds kind of fantastical, but one thing that I really always pride myself on is, you know, being professional in very professional settings. I was not there to be a fan. I was not there to ask for a selfie. As much as I wanted to do those things, I was there to support the music video director so I could have a long-term career in this business. So never did any of the typical fan things. I did what he asked me to. I got him coffee. I stayed by his side and got him things and made it through the shoot. And you know, that discipline and work, I think, really set me up for all the stuff that came later on.
So you managed to get the passes to photograph Ms. Swift. Walk me through, like, what is your sort of playbook when you get to those concerts? Because you want the best shots. Are there certain techniques, certain things you do to make sure you put yourself in a position to get those shots?
Yeah, I mean, so depending on what show in the tour I'm photographing, usually there have been shows already done on the